All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a worldview that completely reframes history. I mean, what if I told you that all of human history isn't just a random series of events, but actually a cosmic family drama? A story of rebellion, of being disowned, and then a mind-blowing rescue plan.
So let's kick things off with this one huge question that's really at the heart of what the source material calls the divine council worldview. Just think about it. What if everything you know, from ancient empires to your own life, is actually part of a single massive story, a mission to rescue and reclaim a lost family?
You know, the Apostle Paul actually wrote about this. He called it a mystery, something that was kept under wraps for generations. He felt like his whole job was to reveal this incredible secret, a plan for how people who were once considered total outsiders, the Gentiles, or the nations, could be brought back into God's family, not as guests, but as full-blown equal heirs. Now, to really get why this mystery is such a big deal, we have to go back to the beginning. We need to understand the problem that this whole plan was designed to solve, and it all starts with a perfect plan that went completely off the rails.
So the original plan, centered on Yahweh, the God of Israel, was actually really beautiful and simple. He wanted one big, unified family, divine beings and human beings ruling creation together. But, well, a series of rebellions just shattered that dream. And the breaking point was the Tower of Babel. According to this worldview, this event was way more than just God confusing languages. It was a divine judgment. Humanity was scattered, the nations were effectively disinherited, cut off, and handed over to the authority of other lesser divine beings. It was like a cosmic divorce.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, that was not the end of the story. The source material makes it super clear that God's objective wasn't defeated, it was just delayed. He immediately kicked off a new plan, kind of like a cosmic reset. He called one man, Abraham, to start a brand new family, a lineage through which all those lost nations could one day be blessed and brought back home.
And that brings us to the great reversal. This is the big reveal of Paul's mystery. It's the how, the actual mechanism for how all those disinherited nations could be legally and spiritually welcomed back into the family of God.
The solution is all wrapped up in this really powerful, legal and family-oriented language. It's called sonship. And this isn't just some sweet, sentimental term. No, it's about a change in your legal status. It's the idea that through faith, you're given the authority to become what humanity was meant to be all along, children of God.
And if you look closely at the New Testament, you see these kinds of words pop up again and again. Words like adoption, heir, and inheritance. These aren't just metaphors, you guys. They frame salvation as a legal process. It's like being formally adopted back into this divine human family with all the rights and privileges that come with it.
This quote from Galatians just nails it, doesn't it? The ultimate destiny for a believer in this worldview is to get back everything that was lost. It's a journey from being an outsider to becoming an immortal, glorified child of God and an heir to everything the Father owns.
So just when you think you've got it figured out, right? You're thinking, okay, a beautiful family reunion story. I get it. But hold on, because the story takes another turn. And frankly, this part is pretty mind-bending.
See, being brought back into the family isn't just about finding a place to belong. It's about being given a job. It's about being restored to a position of real purpose and real authority.
The key that unlocks this whole idea is a specific title, Holy Ones, or hagioi in the Greek. Now, in the Old Testament, this term almost always referred to the angels and other divine beings in God's heavenly council. But then you get to the New Testament, and that exact same title is used over and over again for believers. The implication there is just staggering.
And this right here really breaks down the difference in their destinies. According to the source material, angels are described as ministering spirits. Their job is to serve the people who are going to inherit salvation. But believers, they're described as future rulers, people who will one day judge angels. That's a fundamental difference in their job descriptions.
So get this. Believers don't just rejoin the family. They are destined to actually take the place of the corrupt divine rulers who were put in charge of the nations. They inherit a seat on the council, sharing authority with Christ to rule and reign. This isn't just about going to heaven when you die. It's about bringing heaven's rule here to earth. So what does all this talk of inheritance and authority mean for us, right here, right now? Well, it implies something pretty intense, that the world we live in is contested space. It's a spiritual turf war, a battlefield, and there are no neutral parties. And this is where this worldview gets super practical. All those Christian practices you've heard about, they're not just empty rituals or boring traditions. They are conscious acts of choosing sides. They are declarations of allegiance in this ongoing cosmic conflict over who runs the world.
Let's take baptism, for example. In this context, it's way more than just a ceremony to wash away sin, it's a public loyalty oath. You're pledging your allegiance to the true King, Jesus. And at the same time, it's a declaration of victory, a smack talk message to the hostile spiritual powers, reminding them that their time is up and they've already lost.
And communion gets framed the exact same way. It's all about a conscious choice of loyalty. When you participate in the Lord's table, you're declaring your solidarity with Him and His family. But to participate in the rituals of other gods, what Paul calls the table of demons, is to side with those corrupt spiritual powers. You can't do both. You have to choose which table you're going to sit.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. What does this huge, cosmic story actually mean for an individual person? What is your place in this epic narrative?
Well, the journey is this incredible four-step transformation. It's a story that takes a person from being a disinherited outsider to being personally called by God, then to being legally adopted as a child and a full heir, and finally to being destined to be a future co-ruler in God's completely restored divine human family.
The ultimate endgame of this whole journey is something theologians call theosis. It's this mind-blowing idea that believers are being actively transformed, literally being conformed to the image of Christ, to become sharers in the divine nature itself. I mean, think about that. The final destiny isn't just to be with God, but to be made like Him.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. This whole worldview presents this epic cosmic story, and there's a place for every single person inside of it. So I'll just leave you with this. If this story is true, who are you in it? What part are you meant to play?